Hey everyone, I'm Jay Reynolds, and this is our second sax stuff video about getting started on the bari sax. Personally, I think bari's kind of awesome. You can play it very lyrically, and at the same time you can get some really aggressive sounds out of it, and it mostly plays like the other horns. But there are a few things that, once you learn them, make playing the bari sax easier and more fun. The big challenge that new bari sax players face is the amount of air the instrument requires. It basically takes twice as much air as alto, so good diaphragmatic breathing is a must. If you're coming over from alto or tenor, this should be a familiar concept to you, breathing from your abdomen. It looks like this. I find it helpful, especially in the low registers, to feel the note start at my diaphragm. I think a lot of the time we conceptualize the note as starting further up our air passage, probably closer to where the articulation happens, but when I want to decisively play a low note on bari, I make sure I feel it start in my abdomen. Another big hurdle for new bari players is squeaking. That happens when the instrument is not getting enough air. Instead of playing the correct note, it plays one of the overtones above that note, and that comes out as a squeak. And nothing squeaks like a bari sax. So how are we going to get the extra air into the bari sax if we're not doing it already? Normally, on alto and tenor, we would make a shape with our throat like we're saying the syllable ah, and that would be enough to get the notes out. Here, we're going to have to do things a little differently. We want to extend that extra space we're making in our air passage down further towards our lungs. It's like a combination of saying ah and oh at the same time. If you do it correctly, you'll feel the notes resonate in your chest cavity. Of course, using all this extra air comes with a downside. You run out of air more quickly, but there are a couple extra steps you can add to your normal diaphragmatic breathing that will help get even more air into your lungs. The first step, obviously, is to take a breath from your diaphragm. So we're going to use the body parts around our lungs to visualize these next couple of steps. Once your abdomen is out as far as it will go and you feel like you cannot inhale anymore, visualize breathing a little more air into the space between your shoulder blades. Once that's full, visualize breathing even more air into the space at the top of your chest underneath your sternum. Just make sure you're filling your abdomen completely first, and this technique should help you with longer phrases. You also might want to practice it a few times because you won't have time to think about all the steps in the heat of battle. The other thing you can do to manage your breath is to save it for the low notes because, let's face it, the low notes are the best notes on the bari. Let's say you're having trouble getting through a phrase that has some low notes in it. The trick here is to play some of the higher notes more quietly to conserve air. Let's take this phrase as an example. Let's say I can't quite get to the end of that phrase. By playing these notes more quietly, I can make it to the end. There's no set formula for this, so you just have to use your ear. In the case of this phrase, the notes I played more quietly were in the middle, so they didn't stand out or sound awkward. Basically, you just want to make sure whatever you're doing is supporting the natural phrasing of the line that you're trying to play, and you want to make sure that whatever you're doing doesn't differ drastically from the rest of your section. I usually find, though, that I don't have to change volumes that much to save a little extra air for a tricky part. Most arrangers are aware of stuff like this, so they're not writing music that has parts that are flat out impossible to play. So it's really just a matter of finesse to save that little bit of extra air. A couple things worth mentioning here. One, when you put the horn together, put the mouthpiece on the neck and the neck on the body. It's too easy to torque the top part of the body if you do it the other way. Secondly, cleaning the horn. There's a spit valve. You definitely want to empty it every single time you play. You also definitely want to brush the inside and outside of your mouthpiece with a mouthpiece brush. When I clean the bari, I take a neck saver and run it through the neck, and then I take that same neck saver and I run it down into the body as far as I can get it, and then I take it out. I don't store the horn or the neck with the neck saver in it. Last but not least, we're going to have one big but very obvious option for help with the bari sax. The best case scenario would be to get private lessons with a teacher who plays bari sax, and obviously I'm available for online lessons. You'll also find lessons on this YouTube channel under the section labeled Alto/Bari Lessons. Additionally, under the section labeled Exercises, some of the Lesson 3 and 4 exercises have low notes in them that will help you integrate the air support and breathing techniques that we just talked about. Congratulations, you just got started on Bari sax. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.